Welcome back to the 716 Sports Podcast, recording here on what truly feels like a monumental moment in Buffalo sports. Ladies and gentlemen, after 438 games, after over 5.5 years on your calendars, the Buffalo Sabres have a winning record for the first time since January of 2013. Just think back to where you were in January 2013. How many things in your life have happened since the Buffalo Sabres came out of that lockout-shortened season and strung together a 2-1 record before falling into oblivion for yet another pointless season? Casey Mittelstadt was in high school. Jack Eichel was not a Sabre yet.
Mittelstadt might not have been in high school yet.
Yes, Mittelstadt might have been in grammar school still.
Correct.
I just started dating my wife.
The technological capability. Truly a celebration here, and not just that does. The Sabres win 2 games in a weekend, bookending a Buffalo Bills victory in what is truly the most exciting of games in the sport of football, a 13-12 victory over the vaunted Tennessee Titans offense. Just what a great time to be alive, and what a great time to be bringing you here, the 716 Sports Podcast. All 5 of us here in the room today just cannot contain our joy for what we witnessed yesterday on the football field.
I'm Mike. It was a big weekend, I should say, for Buffalo sports. That's all I got right now. Nick, what do you got?
Wow.
We all were hanging on your every word.
Wow.
That was
I was
deep.
like waiting.
Puppets on a string.
I just wanted to play you all like a fiddle. Call me Charlie Daniels.
And you did.
Boom.
I'm trying to figure out a devil went down somewhere, but I can't do it.
He went down to
I'm
Duluth,
rusty. It's been a while.
Augusta.
Yeah, there you go.
We got trivia later tonight,
we
which is
don't.
pretty cool.
We
Oh, we
do?
don't?
No.
What do you mean, no?
I never.
Pull out your phone
Nobody
and ask
ever
some
asked me.
questions.
You sent me that fax that said that we were doing it. Oh,
Facts?
The
A
carrier
facsimile.
raven.
this is awkward.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
All right, well,
You're going to call me out. I'm busy.
Well, then why
I don't
are you
got time for
here?
this shit.
all right.
Maybe
well,
next
anyway,
time when I'm here another 6 weeks.
Nick's here.
Hi.
Nick, what'd you think of the weekend?
I watched about 3/4 of the Bills game before I had to work. It was pretty good. Well, relatively good. I'm sure we'll get more into it as we go on. Still think Josh Allen is hot trash, but
Agreed.
I don't know if that's the consensus around the room.
It was
It's
not
fun.
good.
Yeah, it was bad. I was taking a look at something, and I think even if we had a guy named Robert Wadlow. Do you guys know who Robert Wadlow is?
He does have trivia, guys.
Do you know
No.
who he is?
He has trivia.
I don't know who Mr. Wadlow is.
Robert Wadlow, when measured at his highest height, was 8'11" and had 12 3/4 inch hands.
Wow.
Josh Allen couldn't hit him for a pass.
That's 10 yards over his
It's
head.
still amazing to
NFL
me
scouts are drooling at those measurables.
Yeah.
that and
How does
and
he look
we
in shorts?
and the media and the fan base literally backed caravans of buses up, behind and through Cardale Jones when he once did it in a practice when he overthrew and he hit a reporter in practice one day. And we sit here and we have our starting quarterback consistently doing it every single week, week in, week out, multiple times in a game. I just don't know how it's possible. He's literally the worst starting quarterback we've ever had. I know he's only 4 games in.
It's a little
But it's
bit-
the worst. It's the worst performance in a win since 2004, 2005, since Bledsoe did it.
It's the
Yeah.
hype around him because he's never 7 pick. If he was a 4th round pick,
No.
everyone would shit on him. He's got so much hype.
Well,
You
I don't,
did-
we
you
shot
said
on
it's the
Peterman
worst
pretty quick.
Yeah, you said it was the worst performance
Yes,
in a
no, it
win,
is.
but maybe
the
not
worst
the
one.
worst starting quarterback the Bills have had this year, just
well,
to be clear.
Well, I don't know.
Also, do you guys know
Peterman
that
was
Corey
worse than him.
Bajorquez has a higher passer rating than Nathan Peterman?
Just by taking a
Just
sack.
by taking
and-
one
while
sack and
it
throwing a
incomplete.
ball
Yeah.
kind of forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
higher passer rating than Peterman.
Yep.
It's a little fatalistic, but we drafted Josh Allen because supposedly this guy just has a rocket and we can just throw the ball 50 yards downfield. Long gone are the days of the Tyrod Taylor offense where all we run are 4-yard out patterns and scrambles to the right. We now have this guy who overthrows every single deep ball he's thrown and then scrambles for more touchdowns than he throws.
His longest completed pass was 13 yards to LaShawn McCoy.
He threw that behind the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
And
So
McCoy
I'm
made
guessing
4
that
guys miss.
there's 2 12-yard passes. He had to Zay Jones and Charles Clay. That were probably 10-yard passes that were completed. But he has such an awful yards per attempt for, the first five games of the year. it's atrocious. I wouldn't even want to look at it compared to every single quarterback that's eligible for some sort of stat over the course of the last two decades. It's got to be one of the worst.
I feel like most rookies, though, when they come out and start playing in the NFL, they always have a very low yards per attempt. Look at Rosen and Darnold; they're all doing the same thing.
I feel like the Rosen stats are a little bit different because Rosen last week in that loss had 5 drop passes that at the point of contact with the receiver's hands would have totaled 115 yards of offense.
His numbers
Like
would have
Larry
been so
Fitzgerald, everyone on that team just dropped everything. And after the Bills game yesterday, I flipped over to the Red Zone channel just in time to watch Mr. Rosen chuck a nice, beautiful 50-yard, perfect landing pass directly in front of Christian Kirk, who walked into the end zone. I was after watching the overtime where Baker Mayfield came out onto the field and led the Browns down the field in overtime to beat the Ravens. After watching Darnold throw 2 deep bombs to Robbie Anderson to lead the Jets over the Broncos. It's all relative.
Yeah,
and this is 1 week in a theoretically 4 multi-year-long careers. But I think that just saying that Allen is a rookie doesn't give him a free pass for being the worst rookie.
If Foster catches that ball that he dropped in a basket, that's a 90-yard touchdown or 70-yard touchdown, then we might feel different too, because he would have at least shown that he can complete the long ball that he's so touted for. But we haven't seen it.
The important thing is that we're bringing somebody in like Derek Anderson who can show Josh Allen how to win.
You can tell me he did wrong on the sideline.
In Orchard Park, because he did win a game one time going 2 for 17 for 23.
You were at that game. Were you at that
6-3.
game, Bill?
I was at that.
I
game.
recall you saying this literally
Still
every
the
single
worst
time
sporting
Derek
event I've ever
Anderson
seen. I'm
has
so
ever brought
excited
up.
that Derek Anderson is signing with the Bills.
You should get a Derek Anderson jersey.
Oh my God, it's like Trent Dilfer signing with the 49ers to mentor Alex Smith. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I said it before on the show, Josh Allen, like, dude has undeniable arm talent. It's insane, his arm talent. But the dude, he's fool's gold. He just can't play the position.
JP Mossman had it too.
Yes, it's like what do we mean by arm talent? That's not to attack your usage of the term, but like when we think arm talent, we just mean that he has a capability to he can put an incredible amount of velocity
with great zip.
Yeah,
nice and just.
But if arm talent was all that you needed,
tight
Jamarcus
spiral,
Russell
unlike
would be a
Blake
10-time
Bortles.
Pro Bowler by now.
And every ball he throws looks pretty.
It doesn't hit anybody, but it's
He
a tight
doesn't hit
spiral.
anybody, but
Did you guys
it's
see
a nice
Blake
tight
Bortles'
spiral.
pass yesterday that came out of his hand and flipped sideways like a frisbee?
I thought you were talking about the one that hit the lineman's
Oh, no,
helmet because
this-
it came out of his arm the other
This
way.
hit no one, and he threw it, and instead of having a spiral on it, it spun like a top, like it looked like a helicopter blade out of his hand. Nobody touched him.
That
nobody hit him.
pilot flies that plane really well. You don't know if it's landing in Sheboygan or in Dallas,
Right.
but it looks great going off the
There's
runway.
no turbulence.
I had this thought earlier. This might be a hot take.
Probably.
That's
Go on.
what I do best. But I feel like I've publicly stated a lot that I think they drafted the wrong Josh.
Yeah.
And do you think? I wonder if the pick was more politically driven, since Terry's a known conservative and Rosen speaks out against Trump. It was a lot during that draft process.
It does seem like it wouldn't be a huge diversion from this culture they're trying to build.
I think Jeff's a little bit closer in the sense that it may not be a Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative thing. I think it's more a willing to be free in your political thought versus being a team player and doing funny gifs so people can do things when you win. That kind of attitude. And I don't think it's not to say that Josh Rosen isn't a good teammate, because by all indications he was very well liked by his
everyone at UCLA
teammates.
said he was the best teammate they could have had.
Just a random thought I had earlier.
No, I think it's an accurate thought. I've heard it floated around before. I don't think that it's a crazy stretch. I do believe that had the Bills not moved up, that they could have taken either Josh Allen or Josh Rosen, depending on what the Cardinals done, obviously. But it's very possible that they could have still had Josh Allen at that pick. We don't know who that mystery team was that spooked the Bills into deciding that they needed to move up to take him. But certainly through, as we've accumulated these games, as we saw Darnold starting week 1, but now we've seen Allen and Mayfield and Rosen also out there. This was a clear game plan by the Bills to make sure that Josh Allen was more a facilitator and not a guy that was going to win the game. And we saw LaShawn McCoy's best game of the season by far. Not great that it wasn't even 100 yards rushing. He did get over
3.5 yards
total.
a carry.
It was just, it was caveman football, man. It was just run. And on both teams, too. I mean, Tennessee played down to the Bills. It wasn't like the Bills went up. But so far, go figure, the two playoff teams from 2017 that they've played are the two wins that they have, and the non-playoff teams have blown them out of the water.
You talk about the Titans matching the Bills. The difference was the Titans were yet another team on the list of teams they've played this year that can't get a running back going. They can't run the ball. Nobody has run the ball against the Bills. Latavius Murray had 1 yard rushing on 2 attempts. Deion Lewis had how many yards rushing? It was like single digits.
34 yards for Lewis on 12 carries and
fumbled.
56 for Henry on 11 carries.
Yeah,
Seems like they might have gone to that well a couple more times, but they weren't playing from behind the whole time.
Yeah, but the Bills have just been able to keep teams under 100 yards, and I think part of what affected McCoy's numbers was that Ivory was effective too. There was the one play, either 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, where Ivory got the ball, and he looked like he could have ran through a cinder block wall because he was already, like, just in the burst that he got from where he received the ball to the line of scrimmage, he looked like he would have run through a truck to get that 1 yard he needed, and that was effective in a lot of the short yarded situations. I'm usually not, run the fat guys up the middle type deal, but he was effective at it. That's how they won the game. They stopped them from running the ball, and they ran the ball well. And like you said, that's like caveman football, but that was exactly what I thought would happen because Tennessee can't score. They suck and can't score, and the Bills maybe suck a little less at scoring.
And, I mean, the Bills are, if you look at the last 5 minutes of that game, are truly lucky that it played it like it did. I mean, Nick Williams had an absolute gift. That guy didn't have anyone within 5 yards on him on any side, and they are just lucky it was Nick Williams and not Jay Sharp or Corey Davis or Tywan Taylor or someone who would have caught that pass and walked in. Because I have a hard time believing that the Bills would have been able to, after a whole game of not having Josh Allen be the facilitator, trying to ride 3.5 yards carry by LaShawn McCoy, would have been able to drive down 80 yards in 2 minutes for a touchdown if it came to it.
What question? Who's been the best player on the Bills this season? I think the answer is pretty obvious, but I'm curious to see if anybody else
Jerry
agrees.
Hughes.
Matt Milano.
Matt Milano.
It's either Milano or Hughes.
I think it's Tre'Davious White. So let's discuss this. All three of the names thrown out there are defensive players. So I guess 3 of you said Matt Milano, who has been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Did not expect this jump to happen to this level. But between him and Edmonds, who's clearly figuring things out as we go along, what was the weakness on the defense last year, in my opinion, is now becoming more and more of a strength. And now it looks like they have all 3 tiers pretty much locked in. And since those first 6 quarters, I mean, the defense played great against Green Bay. The score, regardless, I mean, that was just a horrible offensive performance. But again, this defense is the reason that they have been even in these games that they win against Minnesota and Tennessee, and they should have been rewarded with something more than what they got in Green Bay.
And they just added Jordan Phillips, who seems
And
like
he
a
made an
great
impact.
addition.
It seems like he could be an actual player.
He looked excited to be here when he made that play,
plays,
too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, now they've got that depth where they can cycle in, 7 or 8 linemen between the ends and the tackles, where you've got a guy like Jerry Hughes who played 69% of the snaps, and, your least player, I forgot who it was, had something like the high 30s or low 40s% of snaps. So you've got that 40 to 69% of snaps between all your defensive linemen where, you can just cycle guys in. And, yeah, you'd like to see guys like Star Lotulelei and Jordan Phillips, your tackles that are, hopefully going to get more consistent and not have to really cycle anybody out too often, because Star makes a huge difference on that line. I mean, we have something like one of the 3rd or 4th best yards per carry in the middle for rushers in the defense.
There's nothing available up the middle.
Yeah, you can't run up the middle against us. And even if you do, you're going to run into Milano or Edmonds. There's no way. I mean, there's probably we haven't really faced any world beaters in the running game, have we?
No,
I mean, Gordon's the best one so far.
Yeah, but he's not an up the middle rusher either.
I mean, whatever you would consider to be Delvin Cook, but
he was injured. Wasn't he?
He was injured, and he seems to be kind of a disappointment. I think the Packers were trying to slowly bring Jones back in during that game. The Ravens have just basically been a 50-50 split.
Bad, yeah.
Collins has been rough.
But since then,
Yeah,
I mean, they're going at a 50-50 split, and then, I mean, Melvin Gordon's really the only answer there. And so they've been kind of
he's more
lucky.
of an outside cut runner.
Derrick Henry's been one of the more I mean, I know that he did pop a 5 average on Sunday, but he's been a pretty big disappointment overall, I think, as
Big
well.
time.
So they've been really utilizing Deion Lewis, especially because he can offer a little bit more in the passing game.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
they haven't really seen did you watch the Texans game last night and their just refusal to use Alfred Blue at any point once they got inside the 10-yard line? Like, they haven't had to face these monster running backs. I'd be curious to see if and when on the schedule they're going to, because after that's the Colts and then it's the Patriots. Like,
Sony Michel might be the first actual downfield runner. And he's got more versatility than that anyway.
It's fascinating. The days of that workhorse running back are really, they've been gone. And I think the Bills have been beneficiaries of that on the defensive side.
Well, since we're talking about the defensive D-line, let's check in with Pat Moran. The PAT with Pat.
What's up, guys? Patrick Moran from the Moran Analytics Podcast, teaming up with my buddies from the 716 Sports Podcast, where each week after a Bills game, I'm an offensive tackles contributed in a big way, and that includes Jordan Phillips, who just got claimed off waivers over the past week. Jerry Hughes has probably been the Bills' most consistent and best player over the first 5 games. He had a sack, would have had a second sack. I think he was scared about the new NFL sack rule, so he let the guy go. That was a mistake, but whatever. Played another great game. He also forced a fumble. Trent Murphy is becoming more and more of a factor each week as he gets healthier. You can see why the Bills spend big money on him. Even Shaq Lawson, who's been much in battle for the past 2 years, he had a nice game, and he forced a pretty big fumble as well. So if you guys want to spend some time talking about why the Buffalo Bills are not buried alive in the standings after 5 games, I think that defensive line should be discussed because to me, they look very, very good.
Makes sense to me. It's PAT with Pat Moran. Moran Analytics Podcast, great show. But
can we talk about the receivers for a little bit? I'm just staring. So Justin has the TV behind us with all the stats and everything. Worth noting that because of the botched extra point, Corey Bojorquez targeted Stephen Hauschka as many times as Josh Allen targeted Charles Clay. I know
Is that a good thing, Jeff?
No, it's not. And
Okay.
then I know we opened the show by airing our concerns about Allen, a lot of which I think are valid. At the same time, it's not 100% on Allen. What does he have to throw to? I mean, Jones is getting nothing. Jones has been a huge letdown. You got LaShawn McCoy out of the backfield. He popped a couple, but not much of a factor. Kroom is playing better than Clay, but not like Kroom's not really a top-level talent like Clay is supposed to be. Benjamin is just terrible. And then one past that, it's McLeod and Holmes and Foster. But like we talked in our Slack yesterday, Nick's like, who's the 5th Bills receiver? There's a guy who's played in every single game, but he's been such a ghost because none of these guys are names and none of them are contributing.
I said it yesterday. I went back and watched some of the game. They have to have the league's the slowest developing routes in the league. Like there's there's no creativity, and they just don't start making moves to 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. And even when there's no separation being created, it's very slow developing. You gotta go back and watch it, but it's just weird to watch.
Did you guys see there was a stat, and I wish maybe it was Cover One posted it. I might be giving credit to the wrong person. Josh Allen's entire career at Wyoming, he threw 7 slants and completed 3. That's it. His entire career, he threw the ball to a slanting receiver 7 times, and he was like 3 of 7 for 21 yards. So in other words, we got on Tyrod. He can't throw over the middle. Well, can Josh? Because apparently he doesn't do it. And he spent an entire college career throwing over the middle 7 times. And you want to talk about slow developing routes. What's the quickest developing route? The slant, the drag, right? Just get them moving horizontally and try to get them either between the zones or get them to beat their man and a little pick play or a rub play on the outside. But he apparently doesn't throw slants.
God, that was such a great play in NCAA 14. You could just throw that slant to that slot. Just 7 yards every single time. Unbelievable. Josh Allen was in that game now I think about it. Was he? He would have been a freshman. He'd been like QB 17. Buried on the Wyoming depth chart.
Did you use him? Did you play with him? Did you play as Wyoming?
I don't know.
He
No,
might
I
have
never
to go
got
home
around.
and
I won
prove it up.
national championships in Northwestern and Missouri, but I don't think I ever went over to Wyoming.
Got to boot back up to 360.
That also makes you think, like, Jeremy Curley had to do something really, really bad to get cut from this team.
Yeah, and
Corey Coleman.
worth noting, has not been signed anywhere. I was really surprised to find out when doing research that Curley is still a free agent. Like, what the hell did he do?
There's a
I
lot of
thought he
receivers
was-
that are free agents, though.
I thought he was the
Dez.
best and quickest receiver that was out there. He was actually the one playmaker that they had going.
I mean, the dude's now been cut from the Jets, the Niners, and the Bills in the last 3 years. Like,
And no one has signed him.
Not a
great.
good look.
it's got to be something going on with that.
Not great at all. Yeah. It was messy. They found a way to win, which is, I guess, good. I don't know.
Squeaked it
They're
out.
they're continuing. They're in the middle. There are 12 teams we were talking about before. There are 12 teams in the AFC that are either 3-2 or 2-3.
Yeah, 75% of them, right?
They're one of the 12. That was not expected.
Also,
at
you
this
know,
point.
Bill, I just realized that stat. One of those other teams is 2-2-1.
Right? Go Browns and go Steelers.
Yeah.
They're both 2-2-1.
Forgot they won the
It's incredible. This is the dumbest timeline ever, and we're just living in it with this
And the
NFL
Pats-
In
The
many
Pats
ways,
are-
yes. Thank you, Bill.
so many ways, but in this way, I'm specifically talking about the football, and I just don't understand what this team is at this point.
And
I mean, what's your expectation for next week going down to Houston?
Houston's terrible.
Because Houston
Their
was,
receivers are so
oh
good.
my
yeah.
God, what was that play calling last? Seriously,
They're lucky Dallas is worse.
Yeah.
Jason Garrett and Bill O'Brien, two supposed, the whole reason those guys were hired were they were quarterback whizzes, right? They have youngish corner. I know it's Dak's third season in the league and Deshaun Watson's second, but the lack of ability to call a cohesive game is incredible to me. I don't know who in their right mind is looking forward to watching. Results aside, who's going to be watching Buffalo and Houston?
They couldn't have made the font any smaller on the CBS graphic to show you it was their fourth 1 o'clock game they had this week. Houston is a 2-3 team that is only 2-3 because Indy went for it ballsily at their own 30 in overtime, gave them a field goal to win the game with under a minute left, and because Jason Garrett didn't go for it on 4th and 1 in overtime from the Houston 40 and gave them the ball back to let them drive down the field.
They lost to the Giants, man. The Giants are so bad, and they lost to
Also,
them at home.
fun fact: the
At home!
longest pass thrown this weekend between the Giants and the Bills was thrown by Odell Beckham
OBJ.
Jr.
Hell yeah.
We also saw the Jets have the longest play in NFL history that didn't end in a touchdown. It's a 104-yard interception return, and he got tackled at the 1-yard line.
To end the half too, so they didn't get any points.
The end of the game, yeah. It was the longest play in NFL history to not result in a touchdown.
That's so Jets.
So what was I'm teeing up my own question here, like answering my own question. What was the narrative on Josh Allen coming out of college?
Laser rocket arm.
But
Looks great in shorts.
big hands.
but what?
You're talking about butts.
Butts. No.
Does he slap butts?
Yes.
Does he lick butts? What happens?
He is butt.
High
No.
fives and slapping
well,
butts.
you're right there.
But the narrative was that he was going to take the most time. He was the least polished, the least ready. And if that narrative is true, and I'm not saying it is, and I wouldn't be putting any chips on it being true, I'm glad he's playing now. Spend these 14 games sucking, learning, whatever, because if and when this team has the offseason we want them to, where they plug holes, they get receivers, they draft linemen, they use the $11 billion in cap space they have. Can you imagine if everything around him was better and he wasn't good enough to play up to that talent? Now, maybe next year he still isn't good enough, but there won't be the extra year of waiting. Like, well, it's his first year. Right? If next year they get 3 great receivers and he's not good, but he hadn't played this year, it would be, well, we got to give this kid a year and see what he's got. Now we are going to have that learning time behind us.
Yeah, I guess the question is he Jared Goff or is he Ryan Tannehill?
Yes.
Are you going to make excuses for him?
Mhm.
And there will be people that will immediately kill Allen. There will be people that will forever think that, this guy could have Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens flanking him and think that he's not getting enough receiving help. I mean, it's going to run the gamut, and we know that. The question is,
I'm just glad that
what's he going to do now?
I'm glad he's able to
guess in
shake the
that-
cobwebs out now rather than week 1 next year if the team is better.
Let's see him start hitting passes though.
Yeah,
Every
100%.
every time,
Actually,
every time the
yeah.
ball is in his
Yeah.
hand, I'm just going to assume it's being complete. Like even if that guy's open, doesn't hit him. He had to play. Kevin Benjamin was open. It wasn't open, but it was a pass he could make. He threw it low at his feet. Benjamin probably could have laid out for it. I think anybody else would in the league would have, but just hit the freaking throw. And like every 15th throw is like a pretty one. We're like, oh, that's why they drafted Josh Allen. Well, yeah, cool. Do it every third and fourth throw. Like, you see it very sparsely. Then it gets the fans excited.
Yeah,
And
I've seen him
then we love
mentioned
him again for 4 more games.
multiple times. Kevin Clark of the Ringer has said that in training camp, when it was McCarron and Peterman and Allen, that Allen was the one. They were all making the same mistakes, but Allen's highs were the highest, and the lows, as we have learned, because we thought like, well, there's no way you can send this guy out there. Well, when you trade the one guy that has any experience, and then you see what you're left with, I mean, yeah, actually the lows are not as low. So in the sense that Josh Allen has been the most, productive, whatever you want to call it so far, then that's where he stands. But it is I know, Trey, and I agree. It's very frustrating right now to get on the Josh Allen hype machine, and I felt like we were at third down right now at the cap. I get very distracted very easily, and I apologize.
Squirrel.
I don't even know if anybody can hear that train, but there's a train going off, and I want you all to know.
I really hope someone does. Otherwise, it's going to be Bill just talking about a train.
Just choo choo.
It's an audio medium.
Totally
It's
should
an
have
audio
like,
medium,
Bill,
folks.
what are you talking about? There's no train.
The train is inside all of us. So
That's a little
We are
on the nose,
train.
buddy.
Yep, great point. So, anyway, train.
I think it's gonna be one hell of sale. Somebody's got to be a really, really great salesman to get the high price free agents to come here, unless we're gonna sign Devin Funchess next year because
I mean, it sounds like a kind of guy that we would sign. He's played in Carolina.
Yeah, he played in
so
Carolina.
That's the
That's
only
really all we need.
prerequisite. It doesn't matter how talented you are, what your career stats
Greg,
are, how
sign
great
on
shape you're
Devin
in.
Funchess
If you
to next
played in
year's
Carolina
roster.
under McDermott at some point, come on down. You're the next contestant and try to catch this pass 15 yards over your
We're
head.
going to
I
sign
was-
the retired Luke Kuechly due to concussion symptoms. We're going to sign the one-legged Greg Olson.
can we?
Thomas
can-
Davis's fourth torn ACL.
I think I do think Ray Caruth comes out of retirement.
Be back,
or
fam.
out of retirement, out of jail.
Learned his lesson.
Yeah, so
One of those
I
than
think
the
it's
other.
going to be really tough. We could say that we've got $100 million to spend.
Well,
but- I get it that T.O. came here, and I get it that Mario Williams came here,
but I don't even care about that. I think what you're hoping is, like, for years and years and years, Jacksonville always had all this ability, but then they were supplementing it with the draft, right? So then they would have the cap space where they can sign guys like Calais Campbell, and then also draft guys like Jalen Ramsey and put everything together on one side. And again, this is just defense and it's not even offense, so I don't know. The parallels are there where I think the hope is you almost build a Jacksonville level between the talent and the scheme
I mean,
on the defensive side. and
it's the
then-
same as their offense signing the offensive lineman they needed and then drafting Fournette.
Right. So, like, just go for it. And
Yeah.
maybe you did make a mistake here. Maybe you didn't. Maybe this is Jared Goff. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's where your hope is, where you're going to have to pay, because you're going to have to pay a Buffalo premium to get players to come here. We saw with Mario Williams. Owens was a different case because I think he was sort of out
Downside,
of
yeah.
options, and he was definitely on the downside after kind of a messy divorce from Dallas at that point. But that's what you're going with. at
Gee, if
this
there
point.
was only another Dallas receiver that was going through a messy divorce,
I believe
I
that
think there is one, right?
they've
Does he fit into the culture that we're trying to build here?
I-
Because culture is far more important than scheme.
Des Bryant's
Truly, you build
Kelvin
a culture.
Benjamin at this point. I don't know why everybody thinks that Des Bryant is this like magic panacea for any team that has receiving
Des was
issues at
not
this point.
that good last year.
No, he wasn't. He was really not good,
Dak
actually.
Prescott is also terrible.
He'd be the best receiver to Bills though in a second. You can't deny that.
I'm not.
I will
He
deny
probably
that.
would
I,
be,
I
but-
do not think Des Bryant comes in here week 6 now and is the best wide receiver.
They wouldn't
I
be
think
in game
that's,
shape, so I
No,
mean,
yeah, but I don't think that's. I fundamentally don't think that's true because I think Des Bryant's a broken player. At
Yeah,
this
he'd have
point,
been
and that's
signed somewhere if that was
the
the
reason that he hasn't been signed by anybody.
A lot of the things that we hate about Kelvin Benjamin are what Des Bryant was doing
Right.
last season. He was running half routes, just trying to out-body guys, but not like really running good routes, dropping passes, giving up on deep balls. I mean, he had a long career. It's not to say he couldn't turn it around, but I don't have a reason to believe at this point that Des Bryant would turn
Des
Bill's
Bryant
offense around at
exists.
all.
Des Bryant exists so team fans on message boards can say, "Man, wouldn't it be great if we had Des Bryant?" Like it's not it. You're thinking of 2015 Des Bryant. You're not thinking about.
You're thinking of the Des
2018
Bryant that had
Bryant,
Jason Witten clogging up all the safeties so he could run 3 on the deep post.
which was how that offense works.
And that's not happening if he comes here because Charles can't run anything.
So there.
I can't believe this is the you listen to this podcast not knowing the score and think the Bills
Bills
lost by
won.
3 touchdowns.
Bills won 13-12. Did you hear that train again? God damn it! There's no train right now.
Hauschka was good.
Hauschka was great.
How much shit I get on
How's
Facebook
money?
for complaining about the Bills? The way they go, they got the win, just be happy.
Well,
no, they sucked
no.
ass. Like
You have to
it's
be.
okay to want your
right.
team to play better, and
You have to evaluate the process. Was that a good process that the Bills ran yesterday? Doesn't look like it's going to be successful 85% of the time. They caught one in the 15% yesterday. So
Yeah, there's like the Tennessee's offense is also anemic.
yeah, I think that the Bills are just fundamentally not a good offensive team, period. I think the Bills played a wonderful defensive game yesterday, and that is why the offensive players for Tennessee struggled so much, because this was a team that the previous week got into something of a shootout against the Philadelphia Eagles and were victorious in overtime. So something happened that the Bills defense was better than the Eagles defense on a week-over-week basis. That's promising. I like that. I don't like completing 10 of 19 for 82 yards. That I don't like. That doesn't seem like an effective way to win. So that's why we're being critical, because the offense got lucky and needed a last-second field goal to win 13-12.
you know, it was nice that they finally got the ball to Shady McCoy.
Shady looked great on that last drive. I believe Allen threw 2 passes on the last drive.
I think he played well, pretty well around. I mean, for what he's got to work with the O-line.
That was his best performance by leaps and bounds
Yes,
this year.
a lot.
So I'm no issues with LaShawn McCoy. I still think you should be exploring trading him. I think that this is the type of game where maybe teams are more interested. The goal to me this year clearly is not to win. Last year, I think they sort of lucked into something. This year, they're completely fooling themselves if they think that they're anything better than a 5 or 6 win team, even at this juncture.
They're trying to navigate being in a weird spot where the fans now expect that they can win with the team they have, while their intention was to start maybe trying to win next year to begin with.
Right.
And they accidentally kind of stumbled into a perfect storm of defense playing out of its mind and enough bounces going their way and Tyler Boyd walking off the Ravens that they could make the playoffs, and that put them in a spot where now the fans expect more, and they don't know how to explain to them that they're in the middle of a building plan.
Right.
They did a couple things on offense that I liked, along the lines of McCoy, that coming into last week's game, their average distance to go on third down was 9.3 yards. So if this team was facing a third down on average, it was over 9 yards, which is just absurd. They didn't get into that yesterday because they ran the ball successfully. And then the other thing that I really liked is 4th and short. They went for it twice in that no man's land when, for some reason, teams are punting, like Jason Garrett and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
It seems like they showed a semblance of intelligence that, you know what, we're on their 41-yard line. And to punt right now would be a 15-yard change of field position. So, you know what, let's try to give it to Chris Ivory, whose job it is to plow up the middle for 3 feet, and
If
he
you
did
need 1
it.
foot, he'll get you 3 yards.
Correct.
If you need 10 yards, he'll get you 3 yards.
Look, if
The
it's
fullback
like
from
you said,
Madden.
if you're on the 41 and it's 4th and 7, you might as well just give it a whirl. And if it's 4th and 18, okay, then try the long field goal. Try
Right.
whatever the conditions.
Even
of
a
the game
pick at that
present
point,
itself.
if they don't
yeah.
house it, is the same thing as a punt.
But that's part of it too. Is like go for the first down. Don't just run a 5-yard drag and get tackled and then be like, "Well, we tried." Like that's not really trying. Like make an attempt and arm punt it if necessary. That is a true statement. That seriously anything in between the 45 and the 35 really, depending on the wind and everything.
Unless you're
it's
Graham
just
Gano.
completely pointless. Except for Graham Gano. That was a bomb.
Graham, good, yes.
That was good from 70. That was absolutely
Oh,
ridiculous
he
to watch.
got
He hit
cleared the crossbar.
He
by
hit the
feet.
middle of the back. It was incredible. It was, good for Graham Gano. So, Justin's currently watching NASCAR over on Twitter, so I think we're gonna
Transition to hockey.
Transition to hockey now.
You know what they should have done, actually, going back to Bills real quick, and then we
go
can
ahead.
go right into
Sure.
hockey.
Yep.
What they should have done is brought back, is it Darcy Regier, that's his name?
Yep.
To talk about all the suffering that we
Yeah.
were going to have over the course of the next few years.
He
That
was
way,
the
maybe we
delivery
all could
method.
have embraced us not necessarily maybe tanking, but not being as good as we were last year at 9-7.
Every day I'm suffering.
And with that,
Great. Sabres are no longer suffering. 2-1, probably going to win the Stanley Cup. Pretty
Right.
cool.
Making strides.
So, people got a little testy on Thursday
That
night
was me.
when the team was booed off the ice.
I was there and I was booing, and I don't ever boo, and I was booing.
Don't have any problem with that because
It was awful.
It was a terrible game. It wasn't even just that they were losing; it was the method in which they were losing.
it was
that game.
losing to the team that lost 7-0 on the road and was playing
the night before
second-
on a back-to-back.
Yeah,
But
that's
you can't forget, Bill.
Overreacting.
You cannot forget that Yarrow Halak was in goal,
Sabres legend.
and that enough should have
Yarrow
made us know
Halak
that
down.
that game was going to go that
He
way.
played a really good game.
yeah, he's
Because
good.
they would hit some grade A chances, and he's stuffed them.
Right. Some days you just run into a hot goalie.
The 6 minutes into the game, he made it a phenomenal save on
The
Rodriguez.
Sabres
like
had
I
a
always say.
6-on-3 power play and got scored on. Let's be clear here.
Oh no, the Sabres deserved to lose that
They're
game, but
awful.
Halak also made
Yeah.
a couple really nice. Like the score should have been like 4-2.
But how many behind-the-back passes were there to no one or the other team?
There's a home opener. They're trying to
How
impress the
many were
crowd.
there? Because I'm
There
dead
was a good-
serious.
there's a good
Like
amount.
a dozen. I'm not kidding.
You were-
Even Casey Nelson behind his own net. Remember that play in the first period? Casey Nelson feels the need. He has the puck behind the net,
That was-
and he swoops out to the right, and then he does a no-look backhand pass behind his own net, and it feeds Pasternak on the back door of the other side of the net, and Hutton bailed him out. But I'm
That's
like,
a
what are
play
we doing?
defenders make
All the
20
time.
times a game. It just took a
Hit
bad
that bounce.
angle.
Yeah, it hit
Like,
the
it came-
boards, the cage, the boards, and that's
Not even
why.
did the cage. It came right back out in front.
Yeah.
That was the one you and Chad were
He did it.
getting
He did
on,
it
right?
twice.
Yeah.
He did it again in the third period. And it bounced right back out in front to the other side of the
He
net
had a
this
rough
time.
game Thursday, Nelson. He did not. But there were so many guys that did. They were struggling to gain the line at the blue line because they would make that one extra move. We saw that at
Because they
the
were
UB
playing
game
a
too.
super trap, dude.
Yeah, that. Oh yeah.
They're notoriously
When Boston scored 6 minutes in, you watched the 1-3-1 trap in the neutral zone just set up
They
immediately.
got shellacked 7-0. They're playing back-to-back
Yeah.
road games. And that's what road teams
Trying
do.
to grind
And
out
they're
that
they're
last
notorious-
40 minutes.
They're
Absolutely.
notoriously good defensive team. And they went into a super defensive shell. And they made the Sabres look like shit due to it. And that's what everyone's freaked out about. The way they looked. But it was a game the Bruins played. And I said they got to come out in the Rangers game and score the first goal. And they got to make the other team chase them. If you're playing from in front, supposed to playing behind, it's a much different game, especially when you're at home, because the road team will lock it up the second they get ahead. It's the way the league works.
And boy, did they listen to you today. Not to skip the Rangers game, but you talk about getting the lead. Right, they're out 2-0 on 2 goals. Who scored them? I don't
Jack
remember.
Eichel.
Who
Jack Eichelson.
did he score both of them?
Jackson Eichel.
Jackson,
Both of them.
Yeah, okay, because he looked pretty damn good. But then they give one up, and 30 seconds later, I mean, it was a fluke play that Scandella just threw at the net. But Travis Yost tweeted at 2-1. He said the 2011 to 2017 Sabres lose this game. Let's see what they do when it was 2-1.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Scandella scores and that. But they, despite being heavily outshot, they were never not in control of that game today. They played so well. My wife, who used to love hockey, who has fallen completely out of love with it because I can't blame her because she hates watching the Sabres. She watched the Pominville goal and she's like, that looks like the old Sabres. And she didn't mean because Pominville scored, because he was on the back door with his stick on the ice.
Such a great
and
pass by
just,
Rodriguez.
Yeah, and just slammed it into the net. And that was J.P. Dumont all the time. When my wife was last a hockey fan, Dumont was always on the back door, just clapping in the backdoor pass, or Pominville or Hesh. They were just famous for Briere just being at the back door and hitting the 3-foot birdie putt on a great pass. And Eichel being all alone out front. Not only did he find that space in the slot by himself, God knows how, someone was able to pass him the fucking puck and found him.
Jack
pass
and
through feet.
Sam are looking.
Yeah.
The second Sheary goal on Saturday against the Rangers, where Jack made the move to get around the pass to Sam, the pass across to Sheary. That's the kind of passing that this team has been desperately lacking. That's the kind of playmaking this team has not had for a couple seasons. And that's why it's been so painful to watch this team. It was fun to watch the Sabres today.
Yeah, that first goal, too, passing. The backhand pass by Oposo. Risto catches it on the tape, sends it over on the tape, and probably my favorite goal in hockey, just a clapper that comes out of the net as fast as it went in.
I love how quick Sheary's trigger is on those plays, too. He is not waiting for anything. He is letting the bomb go the second it's on his
He
stick.
struggled today.
He did.
He had a rough
That
game
breakaway,
today.
he fell. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Because he plays hard. I
He-
loved what you said, that Skinner and Sheary play hard every shift.
Yeah.
And they do, but he struggled.
There was one shift in that Boston game where he literally threw his body to somebody. Like, he made a move around him, but he wasn't going to let him pass him. He just literally dove into him to make the play and ended up causing turnover. But Thursday was frustrating for me because you were pissing me off, Steve.
I
just
don't
calm
care.
down. They ran into a team playing a perfect road game.
I paid a lot of money,
After
and
they
I know
got
that's.
that.
I paid a lot of money for those
I understand you were
tickets, and
frustrated for the product you got.
for weeks, I was talking it up. I mean, as much as a sports fan as I am, and this is no dig on, like I'm a professional sports writer too, and like I can handle like tempering. Like, I mean, we call games. We don't stick up just for UB because, I can temper that expectation and like be a bit quote unquote professional, even if it's a team that I root for. And I was emotionally revved up for Thursday for weeks. Like, I had trouble sleeping Wednesday night. You can judge me, but I hope you understand that feeling as sports fans. I had trouble sleeping Wednesday night because I was so ready for Thursday, and it felt like a stiff kick in the balls, like both balls at the same time. That's what it felt like.
I think that was half the issue Thursday. Everyone was so hyped up over it, and then it just done.
Well, we've been riding that feeling of that Darlene pick to now. We've been waiting to see it. It was the Darlene pick. It was re-signing. It was Sampson. It was Jack changing the number, getting the captaincy. It was bringing in Skinner.
Sheary.
It was all these Sheary. Every move was like every little thing looked like, okay, I like that. I think like we as a group collectively as the offseason went on, like, okay, I can kind of see what they're trying to do here. And then you go through the preseason, and Nylander looks better. Thompson makes the team. Like
Sabatka and Berglund are scoring.
And Berglund are here. I'm still not convinced, but they're looking to be. Berglund looked okay today. He had a nice screen on the goal that he was credited and got taken away and given back to Scandella. There's things to look forward to, and I think that's part of the feelings that we were already like, okay, what's the next chapter of Buffalo hockey going to look like? And it looked like the same old shit we'd seen the last 6 years, and that was part of why I think a lot of us were frustrated watching that Boston game, because it was just, there's nothing different here versus the same team that struggled last year.
Yeah, Thompson looked terrible in that first game.
He really did.
And then he looked better in the next game. And then today, he was playing great.
Yeah.
He was like a 6'5" ballerina out there. So sometimes you see some of his moves he made, a couple of the shifts. He's starting to find his confidence. He's starting to. He's 20. He's going to find his confidence. You see, Hobbs is having a tough time with middle stat. He's getting very little ice time. He had that one turnover where it caused like a 3-0 in was it the Rangers game? No, I forget.
Yeah, the Rangers game, and
I don't think it saw
Hutton
the
bailed him
ice
out.
in the third period.
Yeah, these guys are learning, and like Thompson, he's so big. It kind of reminds you a little bit of like Tyler Myers coming up and trying to fit into his body and figuring things out. And Middlestat looks like he's going to be a little bit. He's not going to be the immediate fix that I think a lot of people were expecting, like immediate top 6, and that's okay. He's still got a lot of time to.
I thought he was one of
to build up. He's still probably, in terms of talent, one of the 6 best forwards. I just don't know if he's going to see the ice time like that.
I thought him and Reinhart were the 2 best players for the Sabres in the first game. Middlestat was showing some insane skill. His hands are so fun to watch. Silky smooth hands.
If you talk about the depth too, like we look at the top 6, and not only is it mostly legitimized top 6 talent with Sheary and Skinner, but like the fourth line, it doesn't feel like a fourth line, and it not only like can it produce, it will. Like, it sounds stupid, but like, oh yeah, those guys can dump and chase and really get some energy going. No, Pominville can score. Like, before he came to Buffalo last year, which wasn't fair to him, he was one of the top 5-on-5 scorers in the NHL. Like, the percentage of goals he scored in 5-on-5 time, or like goals scored per 5-on-5 minutes played, was like top 10 in the NHL. It's just crazy because he can score. And Gergensons has shown what he can do, and Rodriguez is legit to me as a bottom 6 center, and their depth scoring is there. And I know it's only been 3 games, but as much as Eichel did carry the load today, and Eichel and Sheary and Skinner are still going to have big roles, this fourth line, I think it matches up well with pretty much any fourth line in the NHL because it's talented. For once, their fourth line is not 3 schlubs they're putting out there. It's 3 talented guys.
No Cal O'Reilly, Luke Adam.
Yeah.
Rodriguez looks insane this year. He looks much faster.
You see him break up the pass on the penalty kill and take it the other way.
Yeah.
Picked it out of the air, tipped it out to himself, and created a 2-on-1 the other way. I'm like, that's filthy. Like, that's so good.
He's always flashed these levels of talent for me, and I've never understood why they don't just give him bigger minutes. Like, maybe his role is truly that he can't take the top line matchups, but he's super good in what he is. But I think he's going to really thrive. And he's looking, like you mentioned, he just looks like he's come out of the gate with motivation to really go out and get it this year.
Whenever Sheary or Sampson goes down, I want to see Rodriguez on Eichel's wing. I think they're fun to watch. They played a lot together in college. He's got the speed to stay with Eichel. He's got the creativity to play with Eichel. I just think I think it'll work out.
Also, I know we mentioned it very much in passing, but Jax looked pretty great.
He looks like
games.
point plus a game. He looks like the guy that everybody kind of thought that he would be, and he's not hampered by injuries. He's not hampered by line mates that shouldn't be there at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, he so far 4 points in 3 games. I think this is kind of what we were expecting, and you can very early, but you can easily envision that 80 to 85 point season coming because it looks like he's ready to go.
He's going to carry the team, and I like that he
Yeah,
might not have to.
and he's
but he
ready.
might not have to. That's what I like.
He's ready to go.
I thought he looked a little enamored the first game. Like, I'm a captain of this team. And
Yeah.
some opening
Yeah, I
night.
think reality set in sometime in the locker room after the first game. It was like, okay, it's not just about wearing the C on the front; it's
no, I
wearing the
actually do
C.
But now, these past 2 games, whenever he gets the puck, he immediately slows the game down. And the second he's controlling everything, the second the puck's on the stick.
How great was that patient
It's
move
visible.
on the back end to beat Fleury today?
Oh, yeah.
That's a goal scorer's goal. It's like knowing when the goalie's going to make it, seeing Fleury go for the poke check, and just taking it away from him.
Now, a little bit of vanity here. My kid went to the game today with a friend, and he has his Jack Eichel jersey, but it's the Reebok and it's number 15. And it's like, well, I don't want to like update. I know what
You gotta hook up your kid.
I know.
Don't you love him?
I do, and I guess I
He
need
needs
to
a new
just buy
jersey.
him a 9 jersey.
Are we talking about Jack or his kid?
Jack.
Who does he love?
I go,
Jack
both.
or his kid?
I love
Both.
them both, but I love the kid a little bit more.
What is your first?
Con-
If he scores
Contractually
if he scores 85 points,
If
then
it was
we'll-
James, you know,
But it's
whatever.
like, I mean, I don't know, like, it's not that you should be embarrassed by wearing a 15 jersey into the arena now, but when I used to do it, it would be like, well,
Have you
I always
you've
wanted
never
to have
worn an old
something-
jersey to the
I won't
arena before?
No, because
Oh,
I have a
you're not a-
Myers
you're
and
not
a
a jersey guy,
Stafford.
are you?
Not really.
You
anymore.
probably have
I
slug
had
jerseys. Is probably what you had.
I had a Myers and I
Slug,
had
right? A slug.
No, Stafford slug.
Oh,
Myers
okay, that makes sense.
third at the time, and then the old with like the superfluous silver striping everywhere. But I don't know. I mean, it's different with I guess if you had a I don't know, like an Eichel USA or Boston,
Team North America.
the Team North America.
Yeah, or
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that one
Team
works.
North
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
There you go.
See,
One of those.
the one game I go to every year, I rock my
What is it?
Team
Morris
no,
Titanic.
my Tapanuman
Tapo.
jersey.
Oh, so I'm still
But
rocking
it was
my.
the third with the alternate. The A is the alternate on the shoulder.
I have a-
Chapo, his heart was too big. for his
Well, yeah,
body.
so it
Truly,
was.
actually,
he played
yes.
for a billion years.
He
but-
did. He was
Owner of the Montreal Stick
49.
Company too.
Was it really?
He
Oh,
still
I
is.
didn't
He
know
owns the Montreal Stick Company.
that. I did not
There
know
you go.
that.
I have a number 42 goat head Richard Schmelik jersey as my most recent Sabres
big.
jersey.
Love it.
Yeah, you wore that when we went to Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the Miller. I have the Miller blue when they
Where'd
were
you
wearing
know?
it as the third.
Yep.
I have the Angry Goat with Marty Baron white, and then I currently have the Eichel black and orange Team North America.
That's going to be timeless, though. That's a
Oh, yeah, for
classic.
sure.
all
fired up.
time.
For
sure.
He'll never play for Team North America again because he's not one of the young guns anymore, even if they bring it back. So that's etched in stone.
And he now resides in Venezuela in the offseason. So that's
Right,
part
he
of it too.
can't
that
even play for Team North
People
America.
don't even talk about that, but proud South American. Yeah, so the 4-game homestand concludes on Thursday, and then 5 in a row. West Coast, United States, got Arizona, Vegas, 3 Calis on that schedule. Very weird start to the season, isn't it?
They got to beat Colorado because that way the West Coast road swing almost is a free pass to me. If they go into this West Coast road swing, good grief, and they're 3-1, I have no issue if they come home 4-5. Because
Boy,
it's tough to play out there. And
I don't think Vegas and Arizona are that good.
I agree. Colorado
Vegas has
Colorado is
gotten
good, but I want
pounded
them to go out there
already.
3-1. I want them to go out there 3-1. That's what I
Colorado
mean.
is good, and there's still the weird kabuki that they have with the Sharks, where they seem to always win one of the games every year,
Yeah.
no matter what. So I don't
The
know.
Evander Kane revenge game.
It is, but I mean, it's just weird. You start off on a 4-game homestand, and then you're not home for 2 weeks. It's kind of a bizarre schedule, but
But if you believe in the
Sabres
locker
after
room
dark,
stuff,
yeah, true.
the West Coast road trip brings the locker room together, Bill. So it's going to be great. They're going to be great the rest of the season.
Is this the one the parents go on, or is that the later season road trip? That
Well,
the parents go
I'll
on?
tell you what.
It's usually a Florida one.
Dads love Glendale, Arizona.
So I've
This
heard.
is
Great
one-
golf, I hear.
Great golf. Well, they love to golf. I bet I could actually see them doing it in Vegas, right?
It would make sense to me.
Because
You have Vegas and then Southern California
Yeah.
and then Northern California.
Yeah, I think that they may do it already. Get your dad. Get him out there in the high desert. So, we'll see where we sit here. This next recording, we'll have the Colorado and the Arizona games as well. But so far, a promising start to the Sabres season, I would say.
It's you don't know what the Rangers are yet. They're not a very good team probably, but
The Rangers are
and
garbage.
the Golden Knights probably gonna go for that sophomore slump season. We don't know what they're
Already
gonna
looking
be.
like
Golden
it.
Knights got pounded by Philly and Buffalo. Now they're not off
Yeah.
to a good start. Philly at home, like that vaunted, like supposedly hard to beat home ice advantage. 5 straight goals to the Flyers.
And when do they play Philly on Saturday?
They were the last Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. And do they have a game in between?
I don't remember.
Vegas has not won.
Just that traveling is really tough, and they played at literally like noon.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Noon Vegas time. You were saying earlier. So.
But Vegas has not won in regulation since allowing Imagine Dragons to play on their home ice in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. Just let the record show they're radioactive right now. They can't even keep up with the puck.
Zing.
Boo.
They are 1-2, so they won a game in between those 2 games.
Okay. That's still.
I should know this because I
I
play fantasy hockey every day, and I don't know who they beat.
They beat Minnesota 2-1 in Minnesota
Didn't know
on
that.
on Saturday night.
So they played Philadelphia.
Philadelphia
Minnesota.
at home.
Philadelphia at home.
Philadelphia at home.
Yeah.
Traveled to
Minnesota.
Minnesota Saturday. Won
Oh,
at
okay,
Minnesota.
all right,
Traveled here today. Played the Sabres.
Okay.
I feel like Vegas's GM McPhee was in a pretty tough spot this offseason. Honestly,
Oh, I think
You
he had
got
to
the-
overpay for a lot of players
Well, I
that
mean,
had their
not-
career years last year because they
Not
were
even
mad
that.
their other team dumped them.
you have a team that came in and started this thing together, and they're such a close knit, tight knit group, and they went through the whole season. And in Jones, like, do you want to break up that locker room chemistry? You just bring in a couple big names because you got all that cap space.
It's hard for me to say that Vegas won't make the playoffs because I think they play in the worst division in hockey. But at the same time, are they better than any of the 3 California teams? I tend to say no. Maybe they're better than Anaheim. I don't think they're better than San Jose or LA.
Yeah, Anaheim's
San
without
Anaheim- San Jose should
Anaheim's
be
without
super good
Perry
this
for
year.
a long term,
Right.
And the Kings are without Jay Quick for a while.
Well,
now.
that is true with the Quick injury. So maybe
Good old
they could
Jake
figure
Quick.
something. Yes,
My favorite goaltender.
Jay Quick,
Jay
Jonathan
Quick.
Quick. Okay,
Do they have anybody who's a Kelly Fruity
right?
backup? Yeah.
I wish
He
Kelly
actually
Rudy was still
retired
there.
from Hockey Night in Canada just to go back.
Yeah,
Kelly
see? Exactly.
Fruity. No, they have Jake Campbell. His name is Jake, right? Jake Campbell
I
is.
have no idea.
And then they called up Peter Budaj from the Ontario Reign to be.
I guess
They're-
teammate of Matt
Peter-
Molson.
Correct.
Peter Budaj still doing it.
He's
Yeah,
still
he's-
kicking.
He's now. They could very well play against Budaj in LA next Saturday, which would be a guaranteed win for the Kings because.
Bring up Molson.
Oh,
That'd be
Bring
fun.
him up.
I don't think that they own
He's
his rights.
already in the area.
They don't
Do
own
it.
his rights. Buffalo owns his rights still.
Do it. Sell him. Figure out a way.
You'd have to trade him to LA.
Do it, LA. Do it.
You
Do
can still
it.
call them up though, can't they?
Sabres can. LA cannot.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's still property of the Sabres, just playing for the Reign.
They should do like a
like that
psychological
awkward year
thing.
that we split a farm team with Florida.
Yeah, that was so
call
stupid.
call him up. Oh yeah, the Amherst split squad.
Yeah,
That was great.
the Panthers.
What if someone gets hurt in the road trip? They need a guy, and Bolson's
Molson's
there.
just sitting there.
He's
That'd
3
be
hours
pretty
away. It's
fun.
like, hey, Maddie, what you doing Saturday?
Budaj, you're a piece of shit. You can just go up and just like sit in the press box and get paid and get that per diem.
Maybe
or whatever.
Molson will play goal because. Never mind.
Okay.
I already forgot it.
I'm very intrigued to see how they play against San Jose. That's to be fun to watch.
I want to get through Colorado first, just because Colorado isn't in. Colorado might. Do they have the best top line in hockey? Because if you look at
No.
other superstars,
Toronto might have something to say.
but Zach Hyman's on that line. Like
It's,
Zach
it's
Hyman is on
Washington has the best top line in hockey.
Okay.
Brett
Oh.
Connolly. It's Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and then it's either Tom Wilson or Brett
Nicholas
Connolly.
Backstrom.
No, Backstrom centers the second line with Oshie and Eller. Yeah,
Washington
I-
has the best second line in hockey.
But I'm just saying that Rantanen, Landeskog, and McKinnon are unbelievable. All three of them.
Sagan, Ben, and Radulov.
There's a good one. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's damn good. But ultimately, and then after that, it's like Kerfoot, Comfer. But my point is that first line could light you up for 5 goals and you lose because, I mean, they got Varlamov back there.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that game. I had tickets to the Sabres Colorado game last year. Couldn't wait to go to see McKinnon against Eichel, and neither one played because they were both hurt. And I was so pissed. And that was the game that the Sabres gave up two first period shorthanded goals. So I was ready to just pound my fist through my eye socket.
Did you guys see the reading recently about how everyone's starting to become enamored again with how good Nikita Zadorov is?
Oh,
That's
cool.
really frustrating.
Neat.
He's been hurt though. He had a pretty serious back injury last year and
From
missed like the
carrying
whole
the
second
defense.
half of the year.
Alfredson,
They got,
Heatley, and Arnott
Eric
are a pretty
Johnson.
good top line
Yeah,
too.
that's good. It was Alfredson, Spezza, Heatley.
Whatever.
It was the Ash line.
So since we're on the 716 Sports podcast, what do you guys think about Darlene so far?
He's
Super smooth with the puck.
He's a great puck handler, learning how to play at the speed of the NHL game.
Chewing up minutes, not making mistakes.
He'll
I think
figure it out.
He's a better defensively as each game has gone on.
Yeah.
He looks more confident in defensive zone, like more. I don't know.
I think it's good that none of us had something to jump on Dahlin about because he hasn't made a big mistake in any of the 3 games
Nelson
yet that's led
and
to a big
McCabe
chance or
have.
led to
There's
a
been
big
no,
goal.
give up
He's
around
been
under-
playing a lot of minutes. He's been
He's a more aggressive. I
not
wanna say.
outstanding, but yeah, he's been solid. He's been
He made some real nice offensive plays in that Bruins game. He made a really nice skill play in a tight space at the point. He just kind of chipped the puck over some stick and kept on going, but he'll get there.
I love when he retreats to his own end to get a puck, and he looks over his shoulder and sees the guy there, and he cuts left and then just smoothly goes right, and they're in the spin cycle because he's so smooth. He sells it to the point where even he thinks he's going left, and he's just got one hand on the stick. And he just goes to the right and turns around, and the winger's dusted because he's just so smooth. He's a smoother skater than they are.
He makes it look
It's
pretty
effortless,
easy. Makes it
yeah.
look pretty easy.
He never was panicked. Like, he's got a guy bearing down on him on the forecheck, and he's like, just turns the other way and fires it tape to tape.
Once he gains confidence, he's going to be filthy. He's getting a little more ballsy in the Rangers game where
Yeah,
he
he almost scored.
trying to rush a couple times, and you see him getting there. He's getting cheeky.
I haven't seen one slap shot from him from the point though, and I'm not saying he has
He doesn't.
to.
But he's got to get the puck through.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yep. But he hasn't really shot it from the point much at all. But he's also on the second power play. I don't think he's going to take Risto's spot on the top power play because Risto's pretty good at the point. His puck movement's solid.
He's very good at
He's
that.
also the right shot. So
Yeah. It's also great to have 2 different guys who can quarterback 2 power play units, though. We were talking today a little bit, I know, about how nice that power play unit looks. Jack looks so comfortable in that Alex Ovechkin kind of office at the left side half wall, just waiting for that puck to tee up. That top power play unit really, it makes a difference to have guys like that can go out there, and when the other team makes mistakes, if you want to be a good team, you have to make the other teams pay for their mistakes. And having a good power play unit that moves the puck like that, they seem to be moving the puck, even when they're not scoring, they're moving the puck on that power play so much more efficiently and doing a much better job of creating passing lanes and creating dangerous situations for opposing goaltenders.
No, looks just as comfortable as Jack at this spot as Samson Reinhart. He plays that right down the corner, right next to the net, on the same side as Jack, and he looks just smooth down there this season so far. He always does, but he makes that power play tick just as much as Eichel or Risto does. They're both you get the puck on this side of the ice, that puck's moving quick, man.
And Oposo looks healthy, and what I mean by that is he's not timid to go into the boards. He's not timid to forecheck.
It's quicker.
He has not been afraid to, when carrying the puck down the half wall and there's a defender there, to lean his shoulder into him and win the puck battle and then send it back to the point. He looks good. I like the puck on his stick. He's making good decisions with it, and I don't know. I like this Oposo better than what I liked last year.
I feel like every year we're waiting for Sam to come around after a really slow start, and this year he hasn't had the slow start. So I'm really encouraged to see where he goes from here, because the past couple seasons he's had a really slow start. We've thought about, like, okay, is this finally the year we move on from Sam Reinhart? Then he comes around. Is this year, if he's starting at this level, does he continue to have that kind of mid-season improvement where this could be the best Sam we've ever seen?
And what
looks like
a bargain, team-friendly deal they have him on.
He looks like a number 2 pick right now.
Yeah.
He looks
For the first time
great.
ever, really, since that second half of last season where he really turned it on, he's looked like where he, like you said, he looked like where he was picked.
We've
He's
talked
finally
about how
around
that draft was not very deep. I mean, he's still got a lot of time to become one of the best players in that
Yeah,
draft.
well, it's so much different talking about the NHL draft versus talking about the NFL draft, because we talk about Josh Allen. Josh is expected to be a top flight NFL quarterback in
Right away.
2 to 3 years.
At number
tops.
7.
Yep.
Whereas if Sam Reinhart takes 5 years to develop, it's okay because Sam's still going to be 25.
Yeah, he's 22 right now.
Yeah.
And I think coming out of the draft, I think he, out of all those top 5 picks, he's probably the most physically underdeveloped.
I don't know. Bennett couldn't do a pull up.
Bennett's pretty fucking strong.
He's strong.
Though.
He's a big boy.
But he's a big dude. Yeah.
We're not talking about one Sabre that needs a whole lot of love because he's been outstanding. Carter Hutton has been.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Very
been
good.
About to bring him
unreal.
up.
He has been asked to do a lot, especially against the Rangers today. Even though the
42
shots
saves.
were, the Sabres had
Hey, they got
7.
massively outshot in that third period.
But it
he
didn't,
did a good job.
But none
giving
of
Bennett.
them were great. Like they were. They had
Still.
some scoring chances. But like the Rangers game, the Sabres were pretty heavily outshot. But the shots that the Rangers were getting were not high quality. They weren't getting good looks. I mean, these are shots from the point that Carter's just looking into his crest. But the dude hasn't made a mistake. He's been so good, even in the Boston game. He got hung out to dry for the 3 goals, and the team in front of him played like shit. But he's been I have not found a hole in his game. He's making the first and second save. He's not giving out rebounds. He's bailing them out. I don't know. He's been absolutely great.
I feel like we missed that moment in the last couple games, and I know Robin Leonard went out today and had a shutout and is supposedly in a much better place than he was going into last season, and hope that he continues to, in the footsteps of that story that he posted, continues to recover. But at some point in one of those first 3 games, I feel like the Robin Leonard goaltending situation we had last season, one of those pucks would have gone in, it would have completely changed the momentum of that third period. And we don't have that the last couple of games with Hutton. He's been very solid. Sometimes all you just have to do is stop the pucks you're expected to stop.
When
he did that.
When does Ullmark play? Looking at the schedule, they have at least one day off between every game except LA and Anaheim. So does Ullmark see the net before that?
Plays against Vegas, probably.
You think so?
I would give him the net against Los Angeles in the afternoon. San Jose, late day game. Travel to LA. Next day game against Anaheim.
I could see him playing Arizona.
I feel like the way they just played against Vegas, they're confident putting Allmark in there.
If Hutton looks a little shaky against Colorado, I don't mind him playing in the Arizona game. Maybe give him 2 of the 5 out west. I like what you said. Arizona, Los Angeles, I think makes the most sense on the 13th and the 20th, especially if that
Like for the same reason
day-night doubleheader
Yeah.
against Anaheim on the 21st.
Yeah. And for the same reason you would feel confident playing Ullmark, the same reason I think you play Hutton again against Vegas, because he's seen all these shooters now, and he handled them very well.
He pwned him. Pwned noobs.
Some mid-2000s Call of Duty trash talk.
Yeah.
Teabagging. Yeah.
No, that's Halo, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's every
Hey,
video
Call of
game
Duty.
now.
Is it? Yeah.
I got teabagged in Fortnite earlier.
Repeatedly
I
crouching.
bet you did.
Relatable.
You're not good at. You're not good at
I have a
Yeah,
Black Ops
dude,
4
yes.
pre-ordered. I'm ready for that battle royale, so I don't have to build. I'm ready for Blackout, big time.
Are you gonna get it? You
I
have
already
PlayStation,
pre-ordered
right?
it. Yeah,
Is it
PS4.
video games you guys are talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Donkey Kong Country coming out soon.
Yeah, now you're
Last,
talking.
last time we closed on
Claymation.
Canadian Candy. Tonight we're gonna go on video games.
I didn't mean to bring us here. I just
I mean,
that's
aren't you
okay.
guys- We're talking about something else. You talk about y'all's news from today.
Oh, that thing happened today.
Oh,
That's
God, I
right.
guess we should talk about that. Why don't you do it,
It
buddy?
sounds terrible. Like you're.
No,
like
this
it's
is
bad
great
news.
news.
Awesome. It's awful.
Bills-
I'm
beat
still,
the
I'm still, I'm
Titans.
still kind of relishing in it a little bit.
We're gonna develop so awkwardly and
Yeah, no, but so for those of you who follow us in multiple channels and may find us doing other things, we will be coming back for the Buffalo Buttes again this season. Officially, as of today, signed on for our 3rd full season, following that kind of half season where we just kept grinding at it and showing up to games and calling games on our own time just to try to develop the reel. But the Buttes home opener is this Saturday, the 13th at 1:30 against Connecticut, who they just beat the tar out of at Terry Connors last weekend. So should be a fun game. That team is absolutely loaded to the gills.
It was 4-0, and it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, the
is my
shots were like
understanding of that
40
one.
to 9 or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely dominated from whistle to whistle. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And we are, in theory, about 2.5 months away from being part of the first ever NWHL game played at KeyBank Center when they host a doubleheader with the Sabres on December 29th. So a lot of fun things to come in the pipeline for us for the next few months with that.
go Buttes.
Go Buttes.
Congratulations.
I know. I'm excited for you guys.
Yep,
Big
definitely.
time.
Big deal.
Somebody gets to fart in RJ's chair. It's good. That's Eric, right?
Eric
Didn't he say
already-
he was
Eric
gonna go
already
first?
called it.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta respect the dibs.
Yeah, there's a lot of farts in that, so I'm
Did you
sure
call
it smells
safety?
terrible.
I'll blitz him.
Well, you get the
You're gonna be
between the
Razor
benches. You get to be
benches.
Rob Ray for a day, buddy.
Oh, you get to be Pierre McGuire.
Yeah, but way more
You shave your
creepy
head,
though.
though.
Make sure you know
Way more creepy.
where did everybody
How is
play
that
junior,
possible?
where did everybody go to college.
We get awkwardly close and just
We're just going to give you a bunch of index cards telling you where every player went to college. That's how you be Pierre.
their hometowns too.
Yeah, talk about the goal he scored there.
Saskatchewan, boy.
How are things back in Kelowna, British Columbia?
Brampton, Ontario, Miami University,
Nailed it.
Got him.
Pierre.
Peered.
Remember that time that Pierre McGuire was rumored to be the new Maple Leafs general manager? That was a great
And
time
the
in life.
Penguins,
And the
too,
Penguins general
wasn't he?
manager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
He knows hockey.
I would love to see
Hey,
him
John Gruden's doing
GM a
it.
team just to see what he does. That'd be
Just
fun.
trades for Sidney Crosby no matter where he goes.
Like, that's not how this works, Pierre. The Penguins have to tell you that they don't want Sidney Crosby anymore.
It's like, no, I turned trade accepting off.
I know. That's right. I know where he went to junior.
Where he went to
It's like every single free agent negotiation
That's
is
the
like
phrase that they say over there.
where he went to
TJ Oshie
Yeah.
from Michigan. How are you?
My friend who's a Maple Leafs fan put up a Bitmoji, that's frustrating in itself. But it was of a Maple Leafs fan dressed in PJs, and I'm like, God damn it, do all of you just you lemmings?
What
that
social
immediately
media outlet
jump
was
up-
this on, by the way?
This was on
Twitch.
This was on Facebook.com.
Tout.
Yes, it was on Tout. Man,
Tout it out.
get your tout score up. No, it was on Facebook, and they're all. I mean, they're all in a good mood right now.
Mhm.
It should be some interesting battles downtown this year at that.
Do you see how many goals they've given up this year, though? Yeah,
oh
they
no,
won.
they're not good at defense. They just sort of skipped over
They've
that.
played 3 games and they've given up like 20 goals.
But they're going to outscore
They
you.
might. That's fun
the-
hockey, though.
That's
I like
their
it.
goal. They're just playing up and down.
Are the Blackhawks back?
Boy, that was the neat one there last night. Or yeah,
Alex
Sunday,
DeBrincat
Sunday
is
night.
gonna
I
be
Because
super
suppose.
Taves is
Yeah.
playing out of his skull, and if Corey Crawford ever gets healthy, are they back? Because they were shit last year.
I mean, they could be. Yeah, they missed the playoffs last year. They could be back. That division just it's such a challenge. Like you can make a case basically for anybody in that division to win it and finish last. So are they back? Not necessarily in capital letters are they back, but if this is the type of team and they're going to actually be able to put it in the net and get somewhat decent goaltending, then sure they could be back. I don't think
they have two.
they're not going to be 110 points like they used to be, but
They have 2 bona fide lines with the Kane line and the Taves line, and as you said, DeBrincat's really good. They have Schmaltz and Saad on flanking or with Kane, but then like defensively, they have Yokiharu, who's looking pretty good. Ruta, who kind of burst onto the scene last year, and then of course Duncan Keith.
I think Yoki
Brandon
Haru
Seabrook.
wrestled Kenny Omega earlier.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, they I don't know. I felt like last year might have been the anomaly. It wasn't the end of the dynasty. It was a hiccup
No, I
in the
tend to
road.
agree with that. LA missed a playoff year as well in the
Mhm.
middle of their thing. So everybody's due one bad year. If you get some injuries and bad luck, then you're kind of screwed over. So.
And right now, their goaltending is Cam Ward and
Cam Wad.
Forsberg got hurt, so I don't even know who their other goaltender is right now.
Peter's been retired for years.
Eddie Belfour,
Petter for
the Eagle.
That's right.
John Van
Young
Beesbrook.
Dominic Hasek.
Dominic Hasek.
Joe DiMaggio. I think that
Mike
just
That's probably going to put
that should just
Mike
about wrap it
Watt.
up.
put a cap on that
Yeah.
one.
Saints are just destroying
Breeze broke the yardage record
Washington
Yeah.
on
on a
Columbus
62-yard absolute bomb.
I'm done in fantasy this week. I needed Breeze to put up less than 20 points.
Man, do I have some bad news for you.
363 touchdowns. And
He's
it's the
only
third
got
quarter.
34 so far.
Day. Is that
That's-
good?
He could throw 10
Yahoo
consecutive
says I have a
interceptions.
1% chance of winning.
Hey,
So you're
It ain't
saying
over till
there's
it's
a
over.
chance.
if he throws 14 interceptions,
They'd
then
all have to be
consecutively,
pick sixes, too.
If only we had a fantasy football guru
We don't.
in the room.
We lack one.
We had one.
There
at
was one
point.
at Justin's wedding, but
Yeah, he was there.
he was there in the flesh. Great moment for him. And I saw him crying during the ceremony. I said, I know you get emotional during these things, but there's no reason to cry, Chuck. It's a beautiful moment. I know. He was really happy.
We didn't have
for
to
you.
name him.
Who?
We all know who the fantasy guru of this podcast is, Nick. That's not an unknown
Do
fact.
we?
The Gura.
We mention it about every other week,
Yeah.
even though he hasn't been here for 3 years.
I think it's been longer than
It
that.
might be.
You should get him on a show one.
When I started doing this podcast about like 3 or 4 years ago, he was still on the intro for like 2 years, and I hadn't met him for about a year and a half into it.
That's fine. And of course,
You should use that intro today.
Intros
Definitely do.
those aren't cheap intros, guys. I just stick with it. I just paid some money for it. I could use it. I'll use it.
No, you use the one with
Definitely-
Chuck's name in it.
You know, definitely
will. I
use
gotta
that for
find
this
it.
particular show.
I gotta find it though.
You need to use the one from last week. That ba 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 da da da.
I had to bring it back.
That's a
That's
classic.
a good one. I like that one.
the throwback. Make sure when Chuck's name's on, turn the volume up. So we're all awake.
Just as
So all-
shock.
Turn that to 11. All right.
I gotta go back and find it.
All right.
We'll see how bored.
Well,
I
thanks
get
for
tonight.
listening, all of you who have made it this far into our rumblings.
Yeah, that's a long show.
Why
a
the
long
hell did you
show.
stay this long? Whatever.
I don't know,
Hour and a half
man.
Last time.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, it was about
we didn't
that.
start till like 9:30.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
not
this
longer
should
than
be-
because
usual.
Nick was late in the last one here.
I was late.
Yeah,
And,
I
got it.
and the last one here.
Nick
It's
was
weird how
the
that
last
happens.
one here. It definitely wasn't me.
I like the shows where you guys call me
Well, when
Can you call
we
me
call
real
you when we
So,
call you and
do
you
you
give
want us
a
to start calling
15
you
to
while
2
you're in the
score
room?
protection.
Nick, call me real quick.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Do I have your phone number?
Talk to you guys next
Actually,
week.
I'll call you on Google.
No, you're not
No,
going to call
I'm
me.
calling him.
You're going to call me right now?
Justin stopped recording 5 minutes ago.
Unfortunately for
recording.
those of us who are still listening, no, he didn't. We're still going. Still clocking around here.
Let's cut my mic here.
Oh yeah.
Because Justin's going to plug him into the
connected.
soundboard.
Can we please get your score prediction again, Bill, via the phone?
That's right, we didn't do that this week.
This could segue us right into
It's gonna
it.
ring
That's
first,
loud.
dick.
All right.
He's leaving the room.
Yeah. Well, I gotta give you the off. I'm gonna go sit with your wife on the couch. Hold on.
Heyo.
Don't talk to her.
All right. I won't say anything. All right. Well, this makes the show complete then that we're doing it this way. Hey, Leslie. Taking a phone call. You want to say hi to your husband real quick?
Is that Justin? Hi.
What's up, Leslie?
They're laughing at me.
No, they're don't laugh at her.
We're laughing at Bill, to be
Yeah,
fair.
we are laughing at Bill
Great.
100%.
You guys are so disrespectful. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us on the show here tonight, and of course, this week we're sponsored by Chefs.
What's your
Shit.
prediction for next week? Sunday.
Who are they playing?
The
Houston Oilers.
the Tennessee
Houston Oilers
Texans.
run and shoot. Kevin Gilbride's looking pretty good. Warren Moon had a great game last week against the Cleveland Browns, the original ones with the white face mask. I'm going to go. This is such a stupid game. Let's go Bills 13-12 again. Let's hope they just run off the whole series of 13-12.
Can you go ask Leslie her
And they-
prediction while you're out there?
What's that?
Go ask Leslie her prediction while we're out there. Put
Oh,
her on
God,
the phone.
I walked through the servants'
like right
quarters.
outside
Now
the
I'm
door right
way
now.
over here on the other side of the house. I can't get over there again.
Take 4 steps. You'll be all right.
All right. I'm not. She was very
Everyone
worried
listening is
because you
slowly
were
mapping
laughing
out
at it.
Justin's floor plan now.
No, I'm not going to do that because I'm
Okay.
going to go take a quick jump here in the indoor pool.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
What happened to the you said Chefs. I thought it was it
Rachel's Mediterranean.
Rachel's Mediterranean. What happened to that?
The sponsoring the travel packages this season.
Because we're sponsored by Chefs now.
Oh, it's Bill's score prediction sponsored by Chefs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And I'm actually specifically sponsored by the takeout window at Chefs.
Not the food
Not
truck?
the actual restaurant.
Not
No,
the food
not
truck
the food
either?
truck. Nope. Just that window where you can order spaghetti to go. Pretty cool.
And wait in your car for 15
Delicious.
minutes.
Yep. Do you like sugar in your sauce? Come to Chefs. All right. I'm going to sign up. Oh, man, you have Girl Scout cookie Thin Mint cereal. I'm going to have a couple here while you guys take us home. Go ahead.
Jeff, where can I find us on social media?
You can find us on Facebook at 716 Sports Podcast, on Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast,
Bill, hang up the phone.
on
No,
Instagram.
so good.
He's eating my cereal.
And on Instagram at 716 Sports Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're definitely super on Tout. We're on MySpace. We're on Friendster.
I can't
Until they
believe
shut
it's
us down,
real.
we're going to be on Google Plus until they shut the website down this
On
week.
Friday.
On this Friday. You got 3 days to find us on Google Plus and get into our circle, fam. We're on ESPN Fantasy. Find us on FanDuel.
Tinder.
And thank you for listening. We're definitely on
Group.
Tinder, Grindr, and all assorted dating sites. Plenty of fish at 716 Sports Podcast. Good night, everyone.
Puzzle.